Checking the mic. Hey, welcome to Therapy by Gabby. I'm Gabby. I'm a licensed professional counselor practicing in the state of Wisconsin, and I talk about things for therapists, therapy goers, and the mental health experience in general. Today is going to be one for the therapist and future therapists, the people who are thinking about going into private practice, specifically solo private practice. This has been a highly requested video from my followers on TikTok, so it's about time that we jump into it. I am a one-woman show that owns and operates my solo private practice. I've been in solo private practice for a little over 2 years now, and it is the best thing that I have ever done for myself to make this a sustainable career and also to feel happy in my career. On TikTok, I had made a video about income transparency where I shared about making over 6 figures in my solo private practice, seeing about 24 to 26 clients per week, and working with clients who are only paying out of pocket, as well as a handful of clients that I see through an EAP that I am credentialed with. So before I dive in, I just want to share that this is the business model that works for me. This is the business model that allows me to stay in this career. This is the business model that makes this a sustainable career while also not sacrificing my own mental health and my own physical health. As therapists, we have been taught that we should graciously accept this position of being a martyr where we just give up financial freedom and our own mental and emotional health for service of others. And that's what is leading to burnout. That's why we have more therapists leaving the field than entering the field. And we need to do what makes this sustainable. And that looks different for everybody. So please keep that in mind. This business model works for me. It might not work for you, and that's okay. Take what feels in alignment with your values, let go of the rest, or take some of what might align and adjust the part that doesn't. This is what works for me. I also just want to quickly add that as therapists and providers practicing in the United States, that we are aware of the systemic issues that contribute to that narrative that we should be in a position of being a martyr to serve others. And a lot of times what causes burnout and what causes this to be an unsustainable field is that we don't get any support from the system, the same way that our clients really don't get any support from the system. We get the bare minimum and we're told that we should graciously accept that. And I do also think that that is an important part of the conversation, but for the sake of this video, I'm not going to be focusing on that. Quick backstory. So I knew that when I was going to get my master's to become a therapist, that my end goal was going to be private practice. Now, even though that was my end goal, I didn't even really know what that meant when I had that in mind. I just knew that, hey, I've gone to therapy and my therapist works at a private practice and that looks good. I didn't know the ins and outs. I didn't know anything about insurance. I didn't know anything about owning a business, operating a business, or what it all looked like. I was just going off the idea that like, hey, that looks good. I want that. So I graduated in 2020 with my master's, and then I worked at a community mental health agency. I was doing therapy with people who were coming for mental health and substance use experiences. A lot of people were from the community voluntarily coming in for services, and then I worked with a handful of people who were mandated by the courts. And I got a lot of great experience from that. I really enjoyed it. I was there for about 1.5 years when things with administration and higher ups started to get really sketch. And that's when I decided I need to pull the plug, get the hell out of here. So I left there and I went into a group practice. I thought, great, this is going to work well for me. I'll get paid pretty decent. It's flexible. However, after being there for about 9 months, there again was a lot of structural changes that I did not agree with. As that was going on, it was just so stressful. And again, I felt like this is not an authentic environment for me. I do not feel like I can be myself. I need to get out of here. So really, even though I had in my mind that I was going to do private practice when I decided to become a therapist, there was no part of me that had any idea that I was going to jump into solo private practice as soon as I did. Again, I didn't even know what the hell it looked like. As far as I was concerned, by the time I joined the group practice, I was going to stay there for a very long time. And because of things that were happening, that was no longer an option. Taking the risk to jump into solo private practice was absolutely terrifying. I had no idea what the fuck I was doing, but I knew that I had to get out of my situation. Now, I want to be very clear that obviously it takes money to build and run a business, so there is some privilege that comes with being able to take that risk. I don't have any kids. I'm not taking care of anybody. It's just me and my partner. And so the risk was minimal. There was still risk, but I also knew that we were going to be okay if hypothetically things fell through. So I sent in my resignation to the group practice and they were like, hey, we don't want you to go. How would you feel about staying on what they considered part-time while I built my private practice on the side? And I said, sure. So I continued to see about 20 people a week at the group private practice while I was building my practice on the side. I opened my solo private practice in June of 2022, started seeing clients July of 2022, and then I officially left the group private practice in, I think it was like the end of November of 2022. And then I was full-time solo private practice by January 2023. So when I was still working at the group private practice, knowing that I was about to transition to build my own solo private practice, I was looking up a bunch of stuff on social media. I was like, who has done this? How did they do it? How did they make it work? I don't know anything about insurance, but I'm supposed to take it. And so as I'm searching for this stuff on social media, trying to see how other people have done it, I come across Abundance Practice Building by Allison Prieur. I hope I'm saying her last name right. I might have mispronounced it. I saw these videos she was posting about people running private pay practices and how you can do it and how to make it work and how it can be a sustainable career for people. And so as I was looking at the Abundance Practice Building stuff, I learned about Lean In, Make Bank by Tiffany McLean. Tiffany is also a therapist, and she has a program and a podcast that talks about the experience of money mindset and moving towards private pay practices. So I also listened to the stuff that she was putting out there. And then I also found All Things Private Practice by Patrick Cassell. Again, I hope I'm saying his last name right. I might be mispronouncing it. I listened to his podcast. I joined his Facebook page. I gathered all this information about how people were making it happen. So I did eventually join Allison's Abundance Party, which is a program that she offered where you get access to a private Facebook group where only paid members can talk with each other and post about stuff. And then you also get access to a bunch of different courses and one-on-one meetings that she has with other people about building their private practice. So I didn't do any one-on-one coaching with anybody. I only paid for the subscription for Allison's Abundance Party, and that was one of the best things that I ever did. And since I have built what I consider to be a very successful private practice, I'm no longer a part of the Abundance Party, but the most important thing that I learned is to build the practice that you want. I think there are a lot of ways that you can build a private practice. Some of them cost a lot more money, others cost much less money. Ultimately, do what works for you. But I'm somebody where I don't like to backtrack. I don't like to do things the shortcut way, knowing that later down the road, eventually I'm gonna have to change it to the way that I actually want it to be. I like the idea of seeing the bigger picture, getting the bigger picture. Obviously, again, that's not something that can always happen. There are obvious adjustments that would need to be made depending on what you have access to. And again, I've acknowledged that, look, I don't have any kids. I'm not taking care of anybody. I'm in a financial position where I'm still getting some income from working at the group practice, and I have enough income that like I can be good if this hypothetically doesn't work out. And so because of that, I was willing to take that risk and go all in. I'm going to build the practice that I want, not the practice that I need just to get out of my situation. So when I was thinking about to look like, I was thinking about my frustrations as a therapist with past agencies that I worked at and the group practice that I worked at, and I also thought about my own experience as a therapy goer. And ultimately I came to the conclusion that I want this to be the easiest experience possible for both me and my clients. And for me, that meant I'm willing to pay more money for a system that is going to make my life easier and my client's life easier and ultimately buy me my time back. So for me, what that meant is I wanted a electronic medical record that was going to have a client portal where clients could easily access documents, where they could cancel and reschedule themselves, send me information, etc. I wanted it to be easy on my end too when it came to like documentation and billing and scheduling and all that stuff. I wanted to have a phone system that wasn't my personal line, that wasn't a Google number. I wanted to have a phone system where clients could call, leave voicemail, text me, where I had access to faxing information. At the end of the day, I wanted it to be convenient. So I decided I was willing to pay a little bit more money for simple practice, and I used the middle tier. I decided to go with that one because the last tier is for like more group practices where you have multiple clinicians and a biller and some other extra stuff. But really all that I needed was the stuff that was going to streamline my business. So I wanted access to being able to have virtual sessions, to have the virtual session link automatically sent to my clients, to have automatic text and email appointment reminders for my clients, and for them to have access to the client portal where they could, cancel and reschedule themselves. That's what I started with. That's the program that I still have. And even when they upped their price, I said, I don't care. I am willing to pay for whatever is going to give me my time back. That's the business model that I want. That's what I'm going to follow. Shameless plug, if you are interested in simple practice, if you go to my Linktree and use my referral code, we will both get $200 towards our bill. And I believe I pay for the middle tier $69 a month. I then again decided I was willing to pay extra for Spruce Health, which is my phone system. And I love Spruce. I recommend it to everybody. It is so easy. It's just easy. I don't know how else to say it. It's so convenient. With Spruce, you get access to a handful of things, but really I primarily use it for having a business phone line where clients can call and text and leave voicemails. And I also have access to faxing. I don't have to fax a ton, but when I do, it comes in handy. There's an app that you download on your phone, so when you get incoming calls, it shows up on your personal phone, but it's not your personal number. Then when you're texting people, you just open the app, and I personally add my clients in the contacts. I don't put their actual names, I do like a code that I come up with. And so I find their client code, and then I just send them a text like I would on any other phone. I just think texting nowadays is so much more convenient, and honestly, it's my preference for how my clients communicate with me when it comes to scheduling. Another shameless plug, if you go to my Linktree and you click on my Spruce referral code, if you decide to use it, you get $24 and I get $24.